Welcome to World Shakers, man. I get the opportunity to interview the brightest minds in the world. I get to interview the people like Smokey Robinson, Barry Gordy, and people that are just getting things done. And today, I have somebody who's getting things done. Tell us your first and last name.
Toby Brown.
Now, how'd you get such a good name? That just works. That could have been a basketball player. That could have been an entrepreneur. That could have been an actor. How did your parents come up with that name, Toby? Do we have any idea?
Well, the story I got from my mom is that, she had another lady that was having a baby at the same time in the hospital, and they were both trying to come up with names. And my mom recommended a name for her daughter, and the lady recommended a name for me, and it happened to be Toby. So I don't know how she came about that, but I think it rolls off the tongue well, and it stuck.
What do most of your friends call you? TB, Toby, Mr. Brown, Dr. Brown, Bishop Brown? What do they call you?
I think it's split three ways. Some call me Toby, TB, and some call me Mr. Brown. So I answer to all three of them.
Okay. So Toby, tell us the main business that you do. What is the main thing you do?
So my main business is real estate investing. I started out selling in real estate, and then I eventually got into investing and built my business around that. I have a large portfolio of single family homes, apartments, commercial buildings. We service them in-house, full one-stop shop, property management, construction, sales, the whole 9 yards from soup to nuts.
Okay, because it's World Shakers. One of the things we talk about is success leaves clues, okay? So help us a little bit on how you became the success that you are today, because you're continuing to expand. But how did you become as successful as you are today? Out of high school, what did you do? Did you go to college, or what did you do?
Yeah, so I went straight to college out of high school on a basketball scholarship. Unfortunately, that opportunity that was supposed to lead me to obtaining my college degree, going to school for 4 years, led to me having too much fun in my first year in college. So I did drop out after my first year, and just kind of got a little lazy and kind of chose to run the streets with my friends. But I did eventually get back on track a couple years later, get back in school, started back working, eventually got my associates, bachelor's and master's degree. So I finished school, started working full time at a telecommunications company, basically a desk job. I did that for about 10 years.
Yeah.
And, I always had aspirations to be an entrepreneur, to have my own business. I just didn't know what. And then I found real estate. I started doing it as a way to supplement my income. And I just fell in love with it immediately. And I saw it, got the vision to turn it into a full-blown business. So I saved up 6 months worth of expenses, put in my 2 weeks notice, and I went full steam ahead in real estate.
And listen, Toby, that's no small thing to get your associates, bachelor's, and then your master's, okay? There had to be times while you were working on your degree where it could have been tempting to just say, I'm done at the bachelor's degree. What kind of inspired you to keep going on?
Yeah, so I think first and foremost, me dropping out of high school created a lot of issues in my life personally, right? Just getting into trouble, doing things that I shouldn't be doing. Then on top of all that, the first most important event in my life is that I had a child. My firstborn, my daughter was born at the age of 18. And so at that point, I had to get serious about life because it wasn't about me anymore. So that became the number one driving force for me at that point.
And that is a very big life interruptions. I have a teaching where I talk about that you could be on the right path, but then a life interruption comes, and it could be in the form of a car accident. It could be in the form of illness, could be in the form of being fired, right?
Absolutely.
And then, but in you, it was a case of the person you're with saying, I'm pregnant, and looks like you're the father, we're gonna have a baby. And that could be a tough one for some people to dig themselves out of because they don't expect the life interruption, okay? So teach the people that are watching today, if they have a life interruption, one thing that they can think about to help get them back on path.
Yeah, so I think, first and foremost, you have to think about, like, based on that life event, who all is being affected by it, right? and what is your role in that synopsis? Because a lot of times we tend to make decisions based on what we want and what we may think may be in our best interest at that time. We're not necessarily thinking forward about everyone else that our decisions affect.
Yes.
So that's really the biggest thing. If I do X, how's that going to affect my daughter? Not just necessarily today, but how's it going to affect her 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 5 years from now? What does that look like? So I think the first process is really just saying, hey, it's not just necessarily about centering around me and what I want. How does this affect the people that I care about the most? And that will lead to making better decisions.
One of the things that I love doing in this program on World Shakers is getting into the journey and how we can learn some life lessons from everybody's journey that I get to interview, okay? And then for you, I'm a good listener, so I heard what you said. In college, you kind of went off track, you said, and you got into like partying, etc. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Was that something you just thought of doing, or is that just something that started happening to you?
It started happening, and then there were two influences. One was the fact that my parents were very strict on me growing up. At the time, I didn't really understand why, but as I got older, I understood, obviously. Hindsight is always 20/20.
Yeah.
So there was this yearning feeling for me to like break out of the cage, right, when I went to college. And so I had that freedom. I didn't have a curfew anymore. I didn't have anybody looking over my back telling me when to come and go. So that was one source. The other source was just the circle of influence, right? The people that I was around. It just so happened that, the students and the peers that I was around, that's what they were doing. They were partying, and I got exposed to things that I hadn't been exposed to before because I wasn't around that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And so there was peer pressure.
Some people that are watching, they would say, well, what's wrong with that? That's part of the college experience. But it sounds to me that you felt that your life was supposed to go up to a higher standard. And so, I think that you're saying that you knew you were called to live an uncommon life. Okay, uncommon means not regular, okay, not the norm, and not the standard. So you had uncommon goals, but you found yourself living kind of common like everybody else who was kind of losing their way, okay? Yeah. So I want to know the emotions that you felt at that time. Did you feel guilt? Did you feel shame? Did you feel what? What were your emotions of feeling like you weren't living up?
Yeah, so there was a sense of fear in the beginning because there's always fear of the unknown, like where is this path going to lead to? Okay. There was a sense of insecurity. There was a point in time when I was insecure about myself because obviously I didn't have the confidence to make the right decisions to say, okay, well, no, I'm not going to go that direction. I'm set on my goals and where I'm going. So there was a sense of insecurity at a time, but also there was always, one thing I can say, I always had a strong sense of self-esteem in terms of believing in myself and what, the person that God created. Like I always deep down inside knew I was going to be something someday. I just didn't know what and how and when.
Okay, so was that self-esteem, self-worth, was it innate? Was it just something? And I get to ask this stuff to everybody. I mean, I have a very unusual life with talking to guys that have shaped the world. And a lot of them just say, Tim, it was innate. It was in me, that confidence, but also it was kind of learned behavior. So how do you feel like you got that swag on the inside that you knew you were going to be okay?
I think it was just a God gift, Tim, to be honest with you, because there were a lot of people and a lot of circumstances that tried to take that away from me.
I gotcha.
A lot of people that tried to kill my confidence. There were a lot of people that tried to kill my self-esteem. A lot of people told me what I was not going to be in life. And it never shaped my self-esteem. I always felt differently about myself. So I think it was just God-given, to be honest.
Okay, we're going to ask you 2 more questions today, okay? I want to know, and this is very important to me because I'm really vibing with you. I'm liking where you're coming from. So now you find yourself with your own company. This is your company, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And you feel your company is expanding. It is expanding, okay? Most weeks, are you intimidated, frustrated, or motivated with running this company that you're running?
100% motivated.
Okay.
100% motivated.
Yes. But the intimidation and frustration could at least knock on your door, right?
Yeah, and I call those like growing pains. That's
Okay.
what I experience now, growing pains, because, you know, I have lofty goals. There's always another level in life, no matter where you're at. So there are times on a daily basis that I find myself trying to figure things out. But I just look at that as part of the growing pains. It never shakes the motivation part of it, because I have so many people depending on me.
Okay, I think that you could really help our people out today. You know, here you are, a together man, doing some things that are fantastic. People look up to you. How do we not give in to comparing ourselves to others that we think, man, look what they're doing in their lane, and will sometimes take us off track? Because, like, I remember one time, a friend of mine let me go in his private airplane, but it was more like this, like bzzz.
Yeah.
Then a couple weeks later, another friend let me go in his private airplane, and it was kind of like, and I'll never, the guy with he said to me, man, the way you're rolling, I don't understand why you don't get a plane.
Yeah.
And I'd always told my staff, because we were bringing in all kinds of money, I said, I'm not going to get a plane. I think it's a waste of fuel. I'm okay flying the way I fly. And that's still how I roll. But, you know, sometimes I may have to lease a plane. But I do remember for a couple of hours, I felt like, man, why don't you get a plane? Because there's that brother just going like, and then like saying like, hey, you're Tim Storey. Like, how come you don't get a plane? How should we handle those kind of things?
It's funny that you asked that question, because I was just talking with someone about that today, about comparing yourself to others. And I think the best answer that I have for that is that I believe that we were all custom made. We were all designed in a very unique way, just like a custom suit, right?
Yes.
I can't fit in a suit custom made for you. So when you start to compare yourself with others, you start to kind of lose focus and take yourself off track for what's designed for you.
Wow.
So it's meant for you to have that specific plane in time at the right moment. The opportunity is going to present itself for you to have that plane the way that you would take possession of that plane, not the way that someone else took possession of it, because you don't know their story. You don't know all the details that it took for them to get in that plane. And I just think that the best way to avoid the comparison, because I think it's detrimental in so many factors in life, the best way to avoid that is to just keep the faith, knowing that your steps are ordered and that everything is designed. It's custom made for you. And you have to believe that. I
like you. You're good. Me and you are going to be friends. What state are you living in?
I'm in Oklahoma, and it's ironic. I know for a fact you don't remember this, but many, many, many years ago, I met you at the Cathedral of Praise, and it's now the Gate Church now. I think Ron Dryden was the bishop way, way, way back then.
And a friend of mine.
Yeah, and so I think it's just ironic that I'm sitting here talking to you today.
Oh man, come on.
Yeah.
So we'll have to do something again when I head out to that area, or you come out to LA. Last time I was there was with Kanye West and his mother when she passed, and everybody rolled into Oklahoma City. Did you remember that? Because Daisy was there and everybody was there.
Yeah, it was a big deal. Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay, so tell us one last time how we can learn from you, grow from you, and see everything that you're doing. What's the best way for us to find you? Yeah, so the best way to find me is on tobyinc.com, TOBYINC, tobyinc.com. You can email me at toby@tobyinc.com. And then I'm on all social media platforms. It's me, Toby Inc. I love it all. Toby, thanks for taking time today. Absolutely. And you truly are a world shaker and leaving a legacy and a true man of God. My pleasure. Thanks for having me on the show, Tim. Life is good. All righty.